Hey everybody, it's Cinnamon Cooney, your art Sherpa, and today we're going to be taking another journey into our Red Riding Hood narrative. Now, if you're brand new to the channel, you would know that we paint red a lot, like a couple times a year, and we have a lot of Red Riding Hood paintings. This one is more of the part of the story where she's deeper into the woods and there's more danger around her. Now, I am going to show you step by step how to paint this acrylic painting. I'm going to show you all the processes, all the acrylic techniques, everything you need to know to be able to do this for yourself at home. If you check the description below, there's a link to the website where the map with measurements is and also where the traceable is. On the mic is my husband, John.
Hey guys.
You'll periodically hear his voice, a very pleasant voice. He also switches cameras so you can see every part of the action and kind of have an idea of what I'm doing, because our whole goal here is to help you paint this. It's great that I'm going to paint it. I certainly look forward to that experience. But what's significantly more important to me is that you're able to paint this yourself. So I'm really going to try to make sure that we demystify the process and make this a much more beginner-friendly painting. You guys ready to get into our Red Riding Hood?
Oh yeah.
Okay, let's hop on in. So we have our first color out. I've got my reference here. This is a digital design that I did. Sometimes I do these digital collages to work out a design or an idea or a thing that I want. I do carefully license each element so that I'm not, taking advantage of a photographer in a not cool way. Here I have a 9x12 surface. I have put a couple wishes on it, as we are like to do. One of these is for our own Vicky. She's going through some hand healing, and we're just wishing her healing and a full recovery post-surgery. Then I personally, especially whenever I do red, like to think about this, which is anyone who is lost may find their way home. So this is sort of my wish for anyone who is just somehow in any metaphorical way or any real way lost, that you get to your home, your safe place, the place where you belong. And then, as I've been doing, and I'm not going to stop doing, Disney license. I want one. I want to be official Disney artist. So hopefully wishes are good. It's a company that believes wishing on a star is effective, right?
Oh yeah.
This should work.
Well, we can couple the intentions with hard work. You're it.
Right. Intentions coupled with hard work is a very powerful thing. So I'm going to take a big, giant, chunky brush. This is a number 30 short handle, and I'll just put my wonderful wishes out into the ether. I picked a color, watercolor pencil, that would also blend well with our base color on the painting, and you'll see me just kind of smooth that out. All pigment is, important. Now, you might be thinking, well, you could just paint the surface black, and that's true. I absolutely could just paint the surface black, but I thought we'd just start with a nice couple of coats of Prussian blue. With Prussian, in anybody's brand, if you're really wanting that deep blue background, I highly recommend 2 coats. So to that end, I'm going to dry it here and hit it with a second coat real fast. And then, so you get to talk to John early in the episode.
Will do.
That's John's favorite.
Okay. So, yeah, make sure that you thoroughly dry the surface between each of those coatings. And the big reason is that you don't want the subsequent layer to stick or ball up or cause ickiness as you're doing these layers. So if you dry it thoroughly, it'll allow you to put another layer, get more opaqueness, create more layered effects, but it's important that you thoroughly dry that layer below so that you can actually get cured layers of paint instead of semi-cured layers that want to stick together and not nicely flow from one to the other. So when working on these very distinctive patterns, that's why she takes time to thoroughly dry it.
Thoroughly dry. So I'm going to dip my brush barely in water, and I'm going to load up with some more of my Prussian, and I'm going to come across the opposite direction of my first brush strokes. And you're going to see that this definitely deepens the background color to where you might want it to be. See how we're doing there? And starts to create a depth and a sense of space that's very important to this particular piece. There we go. Look at us have a moment there, right?
Mm.
That is looking pretty good. Now, in our woods, we have some dark and distant trees that we have to talk about, and it can be a nice time to put in a few of those at this stage. Yeah?
Can I ask something real quick?
You can ask something.
April wanted to know, why does the first layer seem to have a resist and not want to stick to the surface
of the canvas?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so it is, you have discovered the great current ongoing art mystery. Just after why there's no standard sizing for brushes comes, what the heck are they coating the canvases with? So some of the surfaces seem to almost have a force field that doesn't want to be painted, which is kind of funny considering it's like prep for painting. My guess is, our theory is that there is a coating to prevent molding when the canvases are brought over from overseas. And that coating is somehow resistant to paint and mold. And I have no idea what else it does.
And it probably keeps them from sticking to each other or the plastic surfaces or doing all sorts of nice, wonderful things that you want to make sure you use to protect
that we would never ever
think
of.
Well, I'm sure it protects that product in shipping, but the result, maybe your paint doesn't want to stick to it at the end of the process.
Yeah, so we're not really sure like what all are the long-term repercussions of all of this, but what I find is that you're not having a completely unique experience and don't feel like you're going crazy. This is like a thing that's happening. And it's, by the way, it's not every batch of canvas either from the same line. So that's even weirder. What I would say is just kind of go with the flow and know sometimes the art world is weird. You may have to like force it to take some paint. I'm going to take a number 8 and I'm going to make some background trees. And I'm going to do that using a little bit of my black and my Prussian blue. So it's not quite a true black. And I'm going to just paint.
What do you mean true black?
Well, because if it was just a pure black pigment, it would have one look on the canvas. But by adding a little bit of Prussian into it, it helps us get that sense of these distant trees. And that's all I'm going to do here is just paint some kind of faded, barely we can see it, distant trees. Just to help our forest seem deep. We want our forest to seem deep, don't we?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm making it a little more blue. You know? There, we're going to grow that little tree out there. So you see I'm just making these long little tree strokes?
Mm-hmm.
And you can even go past the line where we're going to put the leaves. That's perfectly fine because we're going to put a whole line of mist here. We're going to put a line of misty mist. And I like to make sure that whatever I've got going on, it's kind of busy and textural, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because the woods can be that.
They definitely can. There's a couple trees out there together to make that forest.
There's a few of them. I love doing Red Riding Hood paintings. Now notice that I'm just on the toe of my brush and I just make these little lines up. These are the suggestions of trees. These are not, like precision renderings of trees. If I get too exact with it, if I make them too in focus, then it's not going to be the distant looking little trees that I'm going for. Which is why I'm using, a color that is pretty close to the background color. John, in his genius cameraing, will be able to help us see those.
See what?
The distant trees that we would have. Now I'm going to take a little bit of my Prussian and some of my tinting white or zinc white, because I've got tinting white, I've got Mars black, and I've got Prussian blue. I'm going to take a little bit of this. And I'm going to come along here, and we know that this hillside kind of comes down at an angle, right? And I'm going to just brush through here a little bit of mist. A little bit of mist. I use the corner of my brush, and I'm just whisking this back and forth. I'm trying to prevent patterns because mist doesn't really, organize in a pattern way. So just letting this be very transparent against the background. And I'll take it up high some places and then bring it down low. I'm just wiggling this out. Can you see that this is giving it a little depth?
Yeah.
So sometimes I see a painting and I'm like, well, it could be a two-hoot, but we're going to use a few techniques that are new or a few concepts that are new. And because of that, I might raise the hoot meter. I'll go ahead and pick some areas where I missed it up. This will help us put our wolves or whatever these forest beasts are, because I wanted to give them a sense of maybe not actually wolves, right?
Oh, yeah.
Wolf-like.
Wolf-like.
Like and like. But definitely scary and definitely predatory. And our red does not, in fact, have Metallica to defend yourself from the wild. So,
You know,
for those of you that caught that story.
that's...
That says so many things about our lives, doesn't it?
In Texas, the sound of danger is a rattlesnake. In Canada, the sound of danger is Metallica.
I mean, it was such a Canadian response. He lives here first, eh? I love that she finished her hike, also very Canadian.
She was very Red Riding Hood.
Yes, she was very Riding Hood. She was like the cool version. So now we have that kind of implied mist that's real fun, right? I'm going to rinse and wipe my brush off, and I'm going to come here and sort of maybe soften some edges if they need softening. See how that's kind of easy to do?
Mm-hmm.
Just softening it. So you can keep playing with this, and it's just about making this a subtle, not a big white cloud that's sitting on the ground. It's real easy to get a big white cloud that's sitting on the ground. Real easy. Now, real fast, we're going to dry this.
Mm-hmm. So, while she's doing that, there was in the news, there was a young lady who was taking a hike up in Canada, and a mountain lion started to follow her. She turned around and stared down that mountain lion and said, "No, kitty, we're going to put some Metallica on." And that, the little kitty took a hike and left. And so she continued her hike home, playing Metallica all the way there. So I thought that was just super awesome, and good on you.
That's cool looking.
Yeah.
Right? I may put out some... Let's put out a little alizarin. That's a fairly dark, deep red color. And all along here, I'm going to take a little bit of my alizarin, and I may kind of tone it with my Prussian just the smallest amount, just so it's not super bright. And I'm going to come here and wiggle my brush back and forth, sort of implying that this red goes back past the mist. This will actually be really cool when we put the next layer of trees in. Because we have a little bit of that distant stuff. And let's go ahead and start our little hill here with like a mix of the Prussian and red. All right, that doesn't hurt us. So these are these beginning layers. All right, so the blue underneath, the alizarin crimson is very transparent. And the Prussian is transparent, so you can do something in art we like to refer to as glazing.
And the zinc is transparent too, yeah?
Right, yeah. We're using a lot of transparent glazing layers to build up an atmospheric effect. We all like atmospheric effects, and that's what was sort of attractive about this piece. But there's a lot of hair dryer, which is always John's favorite. More of this, bitch!
Bye-bye! Okay, so that's what we're doing, is we're hair drying stuff, which is inevitably where I have to talk about color shift, which is where you use heat to dry your paint, and it induces it to become lighter or darker, depending on some chemistry at the play of the paint. So don't do that. Don't use heat. Just use down air, and that will keep you from having shifty paint. And also thoroughly dry it. It won't be sticky. You don't want sticky or shifty paint.
What?
You don't want sticky or shifty paint.
You don't want sticky or shifty paint. Now I'm going to use a cool and interesting thing here. I'm going to use my grid guide. Now this isn't a 1-inch grid guide, but it is sized for 9 by 12. 12 being up here, 9 being here, and it gives you the measurements of where you're going to make a line. So 3 inches, 6 inches, and 9 inches, you want a vertical line. 2 inches, 4.5, and 7, you want a horizontal line. And with that, you can block in very easily where these objects belong. That is on the website, and you're welcome to just grab that. It's be free and all that. You have to pay to get the help at all. So that's always nice, right?
That's always nice.
Ah, there we go.
You know why I like free?
Why do you like free?
Because I can afford it.
That's also why I like free. For free.
It's like, that's good. I like that.
It's good to be free. So always, when you're using chalkboard chalk, sometimes you have to sort of reposition the ruler in a specific way to make sure you're on the line. It isn't that exacting though. 4.5 inches. And then the top over here, I gotta actually switch this because it's 2 inches, 4.5 inches. So 2 inches, 4.5 inches, and 7 inches.
Now, it's really important to do it from the top down, right?
Yeah, it's important to do it from the top down. So this needs to be 2 inches.
Can you show on your traceable how you've got that indicated?
Trees going up here, land here, that's your 2 inches.
Yeah, see, where she has that dot with the arrow at the top, that shows the direction she's measuring from.
Yeah. So that's to help you too. Oh, thank you. I totally forgot that I did that. I might have done that for myself so I don't get lost.
I noticed it was a real clever thing you did.
I'm just like, where am I going from? Because I knew later it would be a thing. I like to use the kids' chalk because it easily is removed from the canvas with just clean water and a brush. Now to use the grid, if you've never seen the grid before, what we get to do is we get to draw just what's in the square. We don't have to draw the whole thing. If you don't want to draw, there is a traceable. Download it and follow there's a video that says how to use a traceable on the page. Just follow along with that and you'll be like, oh, I got traceables. I got all I need to know about traceables. Okay, so we have this beautiful, and I loves him, tree over here. And he starts just a little bit above the 4-inch mark and comes down. He's not completely flush to the canvas, to the edge here, which I also like.
Little drama falling off.
He's got a little drama, doesn't he? I'm going to bring up his little trunk coming down. It's not really that little. Kind of a beautiful, big, thick tree that she is standing next to. And I'll bring this around here. So that's great. Well, to me, that's great.
Could you bring your gridded reference over there next to that one?
Yeah. Maybe I can do it like this.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so this
Whichever way you work it out, I'll work it out.
Okay. So again, this is on the website. Just you can, and it's just on the thing, so you can even just see it. I have tried to be as not mysterious as possible. So I have a tree here. I have leaves here. Right here is where I would be putting red. And now I can very easily see the object relationship of how big she is in that space. Because sometimes an object is bigger in our mind than in real life. And I love this like swoopy cloak. So that's how her little swoopy cloak goes. And you can see I'm not just drawing her. I'm using this to help me know what I would be drawing. And there's some more of the cloak. I will freehand the hand and I'll show you how I do that. It's actually maybe surprisingly much more easy than you'd think.
Yeah.
And see, I'm just using a clean brush to just remove where I want to remove. Super easy. There's the bust line coming down into the waistline. And off the page is where these things go, which is fantastic. And then We have a couple focal trees, which now we kind of know where they go, but I'll put a mark there to make sure that I'm knowing I've got to do a focal tree right here. And then I may actually put in a couple more focus trees just for the design of it. I don't actually want to put one close to her because I feel like it's going to pull away from her design. So I'm going to put another little one right here. Still leaving room for the eyes here, the eyes here, and the eyes here. If that makes sense.
It does. The eyes have it.
And this will let me and sort of take away the stuff that I don't need to deal with. All right, now that I've got this all in, look, I can just easily remove any chalk lines that I don't want.
That's just, oh, you poked the eye out. You poked his eye out.
I can put his eye back.
That was so...
He'll be fine. He's a monster. He's okay. He's got regen powers. You know how monsters work.
Only the good ones.
Mind flare. Okay.
Dude, Jeepers Creepers is still one of the best, like, pure
horror.
horror.
He's scary. He's too scary. He makes art. That's what makes him the scariest of all monsters.
He was the best.
He has art. It's never good when your monster has art. I will be creative now.
Yeah, that's definitely my all-time favorite. And during Halloween, I can talk about that. Jeepers Creepers, it was one of my all-time favorite horror movies.
Yeah.
Best monster movie I've ever, I think.
John was a super fan.
Aliens, the second one. I really like that. Good.
I'm going to put out some yellow ochre. And I'm going to put out some Indian yellow. If you don't have Indian yellow, you can just use cad yellow and add a small amount, just a tiny touch. If you look at that, it's kind of like an orangey yellow, but not really deep orange. So you could add a little bit of red to your cad yellow to kind of smudge it in that direction. I'm going to put out some titanium white a couple of places. I love my titanium white. And I'm going to put out some cad red, as well as more alizarin crimson. And I think that we would be well served by burnt sienna. We may titch into some quinacridone magenta, so we might as well put it out now. And I believe that'll probably be our palette for this painting. I've got some colors put aside just in case I am wrong. But really, you could just do this with 3 colors, so don't feel stressed about it. And you could use hints of yellow with a little bit of red in it. You just want a warmish, orangish red, you know. But I do recommend Indian yellow if you have some extra money to add to your paint box. It's a wonderful color.
Now that we're done gridding, I will go or move that back over there so we get a little more centered on it.
Now that we're done gridding, so again with the blue and a smidge of black, I'm going to add some white to this, and you're going to begin to see that it lifts that a bit. And I'm going to start painting in my more forward-facing trees. If you really like fiddly trees, the other Into the Woods painting has so many fiddly trees and branches, and it makes this like wonderful tree tunnel, and also uses Indian yellow, so the expense won't go against what you're looking to do. I like to do this. I'm going to add a little more blue in there and kind of shade the right side a bit. I can even come in, interestingly enough, with a little black. And I'm going to just shade the right side. of each of my focal trees. And if you ever want to shave something back, you just come back with a clean brush and look.
It does. It just.
It erases it. So you can trim things down in the way that you need to. I'm going to get a little more brush in and a little bit more white into it, making a much lighter range. I come along these and just dash a little bit of a highlight, but I'm dashing it to kind of talk about, oh, there's some rough wood over here, right? I'm going to just catch the highlight on this tree. And make sure that I am taking it fully down to the forest floor. See what I'm doing here?
Mm-hmm.
Making sure that this tree is fully in front of the other one. And they are both on the forest floor. So let's pull some kind of tree shape back here and go underneath them a little bit darkly. I'm going to continue to do a similar thing right here. Come up the back. And I will come on the front with a little of my Prussian and my titanium white. Again, creating that kind of foresty highlight. But I line down it. This is a number 8 cat's tongue. If you're wondering, like, why my brush is doing the things it's doing, that's why. It has a point and kind of, it's sort of shaped like a filbert, but it comes to a point and it lets me do a lot of different work. Is this the only brush you could use? No, not at all. Many, many brushes are awesome. So don't panic.
There are many brushes, but this one is mine.
There are many brushes, but this one is mine. And they're available all over. You can even get them at Michael's online using the coupon. And I will not be offended if you use the coupon. That's totally fine. So I'm just going to come here and I'm going to grab a little bit more of that Prussian and make sure that we are blending the forest into the tree. And once I get that in, I can kind of come around here and maybe even define some distant tree noise. See how we're doing? Just subtle because it's the Prussian blue. So it's just slightly darker.
Mm-hmm.
But it gives us even more of the, what did I do there? I don't even know why I did that. You ever do a thing and you're like, why did I do that? That is not helpful to my goals. When you use a transparent color like this and you continue to glaze it up, you get some really cool effects. A lot of times I see people be frustrated with the paint and it's like, well, you know, yeah, that's frustrating in this particular circumstance, but in the right circumstance, it's kind of awesome. Now there's a bunch of really fascinating red on the floor. And I'm going to get some Doxazine purple out, I see. And I'm going to take my Alizarin and a little Doxazine purple. And I'm going to begin to lay some leaves. And see, I'm like tapping it on the trees and in this with this like deep purple coming down here. And now you can kind of see how nice it is that we put a little bit of that transparent right up there. Just a little bit, right? Then I'll get a little more of my alizarin and I'll mix it half and half with my cad red. And you're going to make a ton of little, tiny little dashes. You can use any brush you have to do this. Any brush you have. You can even put them like up as leaves up in the air. Because these leaves are the color in that forest. So it's the blood forest.
Mmm.
Ooh.
Ooh.
And you got to remember, Red is a character that put all her points in bluff.
You don't know that. She may have come from an ancient line of martial artists.
What are you saying? She's a rogue?
Yeah. She's a bard.
She's
Probably
a
bard class.
Ah.
You know, she has Baker Fu or something.
Baker Fu. She has Metallica. She's okay.
she's got Metallica on a mini disc.
That's not going to stop for me for a while. I'm going to be talking about that for a while. I'm over here on the left-hand side just making some leaves.
I'm going to have to say, to be honest, Red probably has AC/DC, and these are wolves, so Metallica may not work. That only works on cats, for sure.
That's
they
right.
They've proven it on wolves, and I'm pretty sure ACD will.
AC/DC's for wolves.
That'll thunderstruck.
Not Twisted Sister?
You know,
I'm just saying.
I have to say.
Not Yngwie Malmsteen. I mean, if we're just going metal here.
I go for Eddie all the way.
All right. So you can see we're getting this layer here. And then to get that feeling of the forest, what we're going to do is we'll take a little of that crimson over to our cad red. And sometimes it's nice to get some magenta into it. It creates this fascinating, almost a glowing color. But it leaves me room to add one more highlight where I might need it. And you're going to want to be able to like talk about little highlights. And again, I'm just making dashes. You want to make them every which direction because they're layering on each other. You up there on the little... I love this red forest floor. Covered in a blanket. I like red on red things. If you painted with me for a while, you'll be like, there's a lot of red on red activity on this channel. Why? Why are you painting red on red? Because it's fun. That's why. Now I'm going to keep this brighter color a little more focused towards red. Because this would be in the brighter part of the forest. And I might come back here and add a few of these bits because I'm trying to get synergy. And rinse out. And I'm going to add a little red and Indian yellow together. And just tap a little more focus, perhaps in a couple of places. I don't put this one solidly. Because we've got dappled light here, I may bring it around her a little stronger. You might touch a few up the tree, but it's really about, and make smaller marks between the spots where you're focusing it. Because you want to keep that focus going.
Yeah, I'm trying to look over your left shoulder because the way that I'm just trying to catch up with that there.
Okay, I'll get back.
You're doing great. No, you're great.
Okay. So closer to her, you have a little bit of a focus of light, and then you could probably put a little focus of light right here. A couple pieces, but you don't want to get it too much, and then maybe into this. And I may just get some cad red on top of all this. And it's just a little different than everything around it. And just tap in a little focus of that as you do. There we go. She's doing quite well.
Hmm.
So she's got, you know what I forgot to do, John?
What'd you forget to do?
Step by step.
You know,
I'm
that's
so sorry,
okay.
guys.
You'll just have to paint it again.
Probably isn't going to happen. I really apologize. I'll get a picture here. And that way I only have to get it so far.
That's true. You can always back your painting out.
I'll do that.
I'm
willing to do that, to back my painting up.
This is a good time. If you are going to change out your water.
Yeah.
You know,
now, go now.
Go now. Get your water. And quick, we'll send him back in 2 beeps of the lens. She'll be back.
Yeah. There we go. I'll just get it to there, and then we can finish the step by step. Sorry.
Okay.
So I'm going to take a little of my Indian yellow and my yellow ochre, and I'm going to mix sort of a half tone. I'm going to get a smidge of black into it where it's sort of grayed. And I'm going to just paint this tree this color.
Oh, man, we got years of marriage. Let me know the frustration, you know.
Of what?
Of your size.
Oh, where I got to repaint the painting?
Yeah.
I don't know. I might get to that after Halloween is over. I'm having a little rest time. It's a lot, man.
Yeah.
I'll bring this forward. This is the basis of our tree trunk, sort of yellow color.
Let's see here. You're all quiet for a minute.
I am. I'm just thinking about how I'm going to get caught up.
You know what? You're going to be okay.
You say these things, but you're never the one doing the work.
No, not this. I don't paint. I'm not a painter.
I'm not a painter.
I'm not a painter. I'm a paint watcher.
It's your spectator sport.
I'm a professional paint watcher.
I'm gonna put my eyes back in a minute.
No, the eyes.
I'll get them back. It'll be okay. Well, I'm letting that tree have a little bit of a dry. I'm gonna go ahead and get a small brush. I'll probably get like a little bright is fine, and I'm gonna put in the basis of the background of the glow of my eyes. So I've got a little bit of my cad red and alizarin over here, sort of mixed. And up here, I'm going to paint a very transparent red in a kind of little circle.
Oh, yeah.
You might want to, I might bring it up and down, kind of like at a point where there's like a hot spot. Because again, wolf-like, but maybe not a wolf. Another smaller one here. And come over here. These little... There's always something we can do to do some work while we're waiting for something to dry. I'm going to put out some glazing medium. This is Golden's Artist Colors Acrylic Glazing Liquid Gloss. This isn't just a glaze, it also slows down the drying time of your paint, and you don't have to worry about the ratios of paint to gloss, where you might on any other kind of like retarder or slow drying agent. So I'm going to just create a dark space here. I'm making up and down brush strokes. And that's really because I just want to not specifically give a shape, just a darkness in the woods in front of her, an unknown darkness, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
That she's confronted with and must think about. And that is always scary, isn't it? The unknown darkness.
You know, every time you see the darkness, I think of the band.
I know you do. Also, probably, you know what? Actually, I don't think that cats would stop for the darkness.
You know,
I think they would consider that dinner music.
they'd be like, "I believe in a thing called love too. It's called dinner."
They would be like, thank you for willingly being eaten. So I'm going to continue to kind of deepen this dark value that's here. Isn't that sort of fun? Because we're not having to paint the actual creatures. That is not in any way what we are doing. My Alizarin and my CAD. And I will continue to work here. Defining these little spaces even more. You see, I'm just making a little.
You know, Haley points out that I might be able to go back and grab the screenshot from where you want to add the step by step.
That's true. There just never is in focus, but I probably could do that, and it'll work.
No.
For this one, it'll work. And actually, this is a good
This is a
time to
good
get another
place.
shot.
Yeah, this is a good place to. You now that you've not poked my little wolfy eyes out,
No, they're about to come back in. I'm letting the tree dry.
they're coming into
I'm letting the tree dry.
tree dry.
Thank you guys for being tolerant of these when we're doing them. I really appreciate it. I'm tempted to put out the smallest amount of cadmium yellow.
The smallest amount?
Yeah, I don't need a lot of it. It's just for the glow in the eyes. Just a smidge of it. And I'm going to get a number 4 round. Actually, this is different. I'm going to get a, what number are you? A 0. This is Isabe Isocryl. It's just a nice little acrylic brush. And I'm going to get a little bit of yellow and red together to make a very bright center to the eyes. Because we're needing that in the center. We're going to kind of slit them upwards. Because we're wanting to show that they're there. There we go. Grab any detail brush that gives you some control over what you've got going on.
Mmm.
And I'm going to come around those eyes with some straight CAD.
Straight cat.
Yeah, straight CAD.
I'm going to give it to you right out of the tube.
I'm going to tap this around. I'm tapping it. And that's sort of how I get a diffused glow, is that tapping. See how now we've got a little bit of some glowy, menacing eyes in the woods?
Mm-hmm.
Glowing, menacing eyes. Fun to paint. Could be wolves. Might not be.
That's true. I
Like-
assumed they could be wolves that were after the Red Riding Hood. But it could totally be some rogue mountain lions. They're just like, hey.
Could be monsters, like mystic monsters.
It could. It could be the nothing.
It's not the nothing. Don't invoke never-ending story. Unless you mean it.
I always mean it. They're too tall for gremlins.
You're too tall for gremlins. They are something, though, right? Now I'm going to take a little bit of my red here, and I'm going to do an interesting thing where I'm going to kind of imply a little bit of energetic glow, as you do. Coming up. Little beastly glow. I'm going to take a little of my black paint. And I may make some little line markings that are more defined, just so that it plays against, your eye. There we go. We just brought that up. So they're just indiscriminate shapes.
Mm-hmm. Those weird shapes, they could be just anything.
Could be anything. And then get back and look at it.
3 lost boys from Santa Cruz in the woods.
Yeah, that's what we've got here. You weirdo. I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of just pure yellow, and I'm going to tap some of that in these eyes, just to make sure that they got that glowing sort of depth to them. Let's see now they're glowing.
Mm-hmm.
So shapes in the woods, scary shapes in the woods, very satisfying. Let's finish up this gorgeous tree. So a little of my Indian yellow and some of my yellow ochre, a little of my Mars black, and let's get into our tinting white. And we're going to come on this side and begin to make a from left to right kind of curved stroke. You may need to come down and define your tree a bit. Smooth that out. But that's what we're trying to do, is create a smooth, beginning to curve the trunk stroke. You need a little water, get a little water. I know I did.
I think Yamini put forth
Hi, Yamini.
There's a theory they may belong to blackmailing pigs.
Blackmailing pigs.
That are coming around.
That is what I do not need in my life. Some blackmailing pigs.
They live up
I have
the way.
Too much excitement right now. No blackmailing pigs allowed. So we're just kind of beginning to imply that trunk, that space. We'll get a little more of the Indian yellow and tinting. Transparent whites are always quite good. And let's make some little marks. See how we're making little hot spots?
Mm-hmm.
Coming up the tree. Begin to talk about the fabulous bark on this beautiful, beautiful tree.
Rain Panda thinks they could be some Jawas turned bad.
All Jawas are bad.
I was gonna say I never met a good Jawa.
Jawas aren't good.
I never met a Jawa I liked.
But then, of course, you haven't heard John's whole explanation for why the Empire was the real hero of the story.
Well,
I'm going to come and make sure that this line in my tree is a little bit better coming off.
Obi-Wan swung first.
Obi-Wan swung first. What? He did, though. That is true. You were correct about that. Now, this side of the tree is quite dark.
So did Qui-Gon Jinn.
Don't start nothing, it won't be nothing.
Just saying.
If I need to get a little, glazing medium to help me work out this side of things, I will do that. And what I'm trying to do is create not just the shadow that the tree has going on here, and it does have a little shadow afoot, but also to begin to talk about the texture of the bark.
How many hoots do you think this is?
I rated this at a 3 hoot.
Yeah.
I think it's probably an easier 3 hoot, but there's a lot going on in it, and there's some weird art materials. So this would be a more, challenging beginner painting. Remember, beginner journey isn't one and done. It is multi-leveled, and there's lots of little stops on the way. See how that's looking? That's looking pretty good. I think we have one more kind of value that we want to pull up. I get my white into that. Coming along the edge here, sort of like it's as if it's a little bit of a highlight. And making some of these brighter markings. Number 8, cat's tongue. But you could use any brush that you feel comfortable with. It's about the brush you feel comfortable with. I always tell you what I'm using. And I like my brushes, but remember, it's what you're comfortable with. That's the big deal.
The best brush is the brush you use.
Best brush is the brush you use. I'm also now going to load up with some black and some burnt sienna. And we're going to make some bark marks. See how we're doing? Not quite birch, but it's a little character that our tree is dealing with. You can dry brush those back. They're pretty terrific. And I think that looks awesome. Let's get a picture here. 'Cause I'm going to take that advice and just try to make those screenshots work.
That's right. Gotta do
They'll
that.
be a little fuzzy, but whatever. You guys just need to know where we were.
Yep. Just a couple steps here there. I'll make my little note for you.
Thank you, babe.
Okay, look. Shh.
So when this is in, we get to start putting in our red leaves. But to do that, I probably will have to dry the tree so the tree doesn't pick up into the leaves. So let me get my hairdryer, which is falling on the ground.
Oh. I'll let you get that while I go over here.
It has a clip in it. It just didn't stay clipped.
It jumped the clip.
It jumped the clip.
There it goes. So you thoroughly dry your surface between there and make sure, oh man, make sure that everything's so drawn, dried and not, so you don't, because you don't want the next layer of paint to stick. And that's, boy, I've got some good words today, don't I? I'm tongue-tied because I want to go over here and read chat, answer, and at the same time, I have to be articulate and talk to you and be able to say I can do multiple things like push buttons and talk, which clearly I can't do very well. Oh yeah, your paint's drying. Don't use heat. And thank you guys for coming by. It's been really nice in chat today, which is why I'm slightly distracted. If you haven't had a chance to join us in a live, please come by. It's a hoot or 3 today, and some eyes to boot. So I was going to say it's fun to be in chat with you.
It is?
It is.
With them, yeah.
Yes. Well, you're here. We're chatting. I mean,
I guess that's true.
I'm sort of the bridge between you and them, but we chat together.
I feel like this is too small of a brush for this. And the only reason I say it's too small of a brush is it's going to make me do more brush strokes to get the thing done.
We're going to need a bigger brush.
We're going to need a bigger brush. But what we're doing is I'm just trying to get in those little fussy bits of branches that we'd be dealing with in here. You know, and then there's a really cool little sort of upward branch that breaks off out here and comes up the tree. It's going to have a bunch of little leaves, and I liked it, so we're keeping it. I like to add lots of little twiggly bits in.
It's so dark right there.
Is it?
Yeah.
Hard to see, right?
No. I mean, like it's darker than it normally is, because you're painting a deep dark forest. But I mean, I can totally see it.
It's a filming challenge for John.
No, actually, luckily we have a pretty resilient system, so it doesn't.
Thank you guys for helping us upgrade our system.
I mean, I love how
we wouldn't be able to do this without you.
You guys made it possible, so my wife thinks I'm a genius because I point a camera at her And that's not too hard to do.
Okay, well, I still think you're a genius.
Well,
So I'm going to take my purple and my alizarin, and I'm going to begin my mix here. Just making it a deep dark color. And we're going to begin to put in some of these little clusters of leaves that we see. Just pulling those across here. And I use the shadow values first because that's the easiest to get a handle on, right? Just capture some here. And remember, not every leaf has to have a branch attached to it. Some twigs are so fine and so slight that you will hardly see a branch attached to them. You're just trying to capture the shape and essential texture of what's going on in this tree. And I'm using the cat's tongue again because it's how I did the leaves on the ground, and it's nice to make sure that whatever you use for the ground leaf, you use in your tree leaf. If you used a different brush than me, I would definitely get back into that brush. We're also going to do some whimsical little leaf blowing over here when we get the chance. Because why wouldn't we?
you have a traceable?
There is a traceable, there is a grid, there is all the things, and there probably will be step by step. I'm going to take my purple over to my CAD red and start to capture some of the next values. Not quite bright yet, but brighter. So the leaves blow past the wolves.
Mm-hmm.
It's a blustery day.
He's very blustery.
It's very blustery. And just give every leaf as it turns puts itself into lighter to shadow, so they're like nature's little glitter balls. So sometimes they're thin, sometimes they're thick. It just depends on if, like, are they facing you? There we go. Rinse that out a bit. Let's get the CAD red on here. Right on the toe of the brush, on the tippy toe.
When you say toe,
So heel, belly, toe of your brush. If you're just talking about the business end of what you're using, that's what's going on. And we're just going to tap the top of these leaves. Isn't this fun?
it
Art can be beautiful and still easy and accessible. And I think that's important to realize, is that sometimes I have to remember to turn my brush and change the angles up so that my branches have that sort of broke up look.
Make sure you capture your branch layers.
Yeah. Loving it. Now I'm going to put out my cadmium red. And the rest of this I'm going to do with my Doc's purple and my cadmium red for the two of them. I'm just going to shade it out using that. So the first thing is I'm going to take my CAD red and mix it in with my Doc's purple and make my darkest color for the cloak. Oh, I should take a step-by-step picture right here.
You should definitely take a picture right here at this place we're at because it's picture time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because I'm really good at filling dead space with
Well, they can look at, but when I stop, then they know
talking
that,
to you.
oh, this is a stage. This is a place to
They do.
focus.
They do. They know that I'm gonna be hanging out here with like not knowing what to say.
That's okay. You're always fine.
I'm always willing to put my foot in my mouth.
Yes, you are. It's awesome. So I'm just taking my nice purple. This is my darkest kind of value on the red. Getting that worked in there. And you can see it's red, but it's quite deep. And then while I'm at it, I'm going to come along the hood and the shoulder. And I'll swing back a little bit of a fold there. There can be, at the base of that, a bit of a dark value. And let's make sure we add some folds happening. Now, as I'm coming up, I can do a brighter tone of red, but not, I don't want to go completely cad. I want to reserve that for the rest. Come forward for the shoulder. Because we're just trying to get that first basis of the cloak in. There we go. See, it's nice and flowing now.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to get. My favorite thing.
Yeah.
Check that out. Already, it's pretty
That's
good.
really awesome.
So, I mean,
Capity cape.
Capity Cape
You gonna
is
get your
here.
picture cape again?
Yeah, I think so. It's a good time to do it.
It's a good time to snap.
Good
that
time to
little
snap a picture. Let the paint tack a little bit.
Yep. Sometimes you want it to be tacky, but sometimes not.
Well, yeah, because if you're trying to blend, you want the paint wet into wet. If you're trying to layer, you want the paint to be essentially somewhat dry. Pretty happy with this.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm pretty happy with it.
Well, good. I'll go ahead and finally break out the number 4 round.
I'm so proud of all the hard work I'm watching you do.
Are you? Good. I'm so glad. I'm going to come over the top of the hood. And I will go ahead and sort of outline it. And I'll pull back a few highlights. Make sure that the hood has that feel to it. My deep purple wherever I feel like that's needed. Because the purple then becomes the shadow, right? The fold in the fabric. And that is absolutely wonderful. And I'm going to fold this here because I'm talking about a shoulder. And get a little more of the purple cad mix. And then there's a sort of nice fold down here. Make sure that there's this fold right here. A little more cad going up here. So we're just trying to capture how her shoulder and the cloak is flowing back. I'm going to go ahead and just get into my cad red, even though I haven't rinsed out the purple. I'm going to highlight the top of her bust. And then the front, a little bit of the kind of like cloak that she's wearing. It's not quite a Handmaid's Tale, but you know, we're in that territory. Give her a white hat, it's a whole different painting.
Boy, they did mess up all those red cloak paintings, didn't they?
They really did, but except now I just want to paint the Handmaid's Tale is all that they did.
So this could be a mishmash. It's a
No,
handmaiden.
she would have a, she wouldn't, yeah, she would have a.
This is a handmaiden on the moon of Endor facing down some Ewoks.
There are no handmaids on Endor. They would never do anything that barbaric.
That's
Not
true.
even the Empire. I'm gonna add this bright red
Empire
right there.
brought, peace to the known galactic universe through a
The frontier.
diplomatically elected set of government. Just saying. For a long time, they kind of.
We're going to pull those strong colors back. Keeping that bright red now. And it's okay if we have a bright red, but it's not the full bright red in, and you know, an element of the cloak like right here. So there we go. We've got this really spectacular red happening. And we've got to put in a hand.
Wow.
We don't have to put in a hand, but the hand was there and I left it in. I'm sure a lot of people came and were like, how would I paint that hand? So I'm going to try to show you.
Just
you
one
might
finger
do that.
at a time.
I've got to make sure that this is all sort of covered and got its thing worked out. And then I'll dry it and I will show you the hand. And just making sure my cape is where I would like my cape to be.
She's throwing the cape off to reveal her metal t-shirt.
Yeah. She's about to like let these wolves know. Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da.
This is really super, super contrasty and just, it's amazing.
Gosh, you like that contrast.
It does. It's just like that blue and the red and the forests and the. It's really good. And those yellows.
Yeah.
It's just, it looks surreal.
And that is the goal, right? At the end of the day. Now I'm going to dry this so I can put her hand in because listen, this piece right now is fine and believable without a hand. And if you've gotten to this point of the painting and hands are your anemone, don't paint them. It won't hurt it.
The hand could be hidden.
If you're like, hey, I want to get the hand in, I'm going to show you how I do.
So make sure you thoroughly dry this layer because when you want to put the hand in, you don't want to pick up any of the red when you're painting that layer on. So it's very, very important right now to make sure you thoroughly dry that. Make sure that you're ready for the next layer. And thank you guys for coming and joining us today. It's been awesome. Super awesome.
It's been awesome. They're awesome.
I love hanging out with everybody, and I just said thanks for coming by and hanging out with me and keeping me from being super bored.
Alone.
Alone.
So I'm just taking my quinacridone and my yellow ochre. This is my simple skin tone mix. I might add just a smidge of burnt sienna to it. Where I'm going to want to have it in shadow, I'm going to add this black here. So it's part of the skin tone, right guys? But it's in shadow. And then I'm also going to come in with a little bit of my white. And there's a nice highlight for it. So we've got kind of 3 values there. I will first put the lighter value of the skin tone in just because, and let me get my thing closer so I can really see what I want to do here. I'm going to bring a little line back that's the palm. And then if you'll notice, the palm comes forward like this and is met there. Just getting that on there. Now I'm going to turn this sort of this way so I just have a good angle on what I'm about to do. I've got a nice little pointer finger coming along the cloak. A middle finger coming back. And the thing that you want to think about when you're doing hands and you're doing fingers is just remember whatever you've got going on, if you do them in a style, if you do them realistically, just pay attention to the lengths of the digits because that's kind of where your hand comes together or falls apart.
I've kind of zoomed in on the hand here for everyone.
And I may even switch to a detail brush.
Hmm.
Just so that I'm not, you know, struggling against these tiny, tiny marks. I'm dipping in water and I'm improving the flow of my paint. The thing that you do. And then we'll take the little pinky back. This is what we're doing. There we go. The beginning of the hand. Now, where the fingers are, I'm going to actually come into my magenta a bit and get a little pinker color. I'm going to go ahead and just pink the fingers. That is a thing that happens. The capillaries are thin, and so you would see that.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm going to come get that. Remember that skin tone I said, oh, this is the in shadow skin tone?
Mm-hmm.
Put this back here so I can see what I'm doing. This has a really interesting shadow. It comes across the knuckles and then is back. I'm going to get a little bit of my dark cloak color and shade that a bit so you can kind of see it, but kind of not. I'm going to get my light color here. Make sure that I can see those. One of the tricks that I can do is I can take a dark color, my shadow color, and refine anything that I'm struggling with. Like, not only does it help me put the hand in shadow, but will help me fix it. And it is just one of those little journeys that you're on. I'm just going to thin it enough. I'm going to put it right here so I can really see it. Bend the pinky. Fingers can be a real pain. I will not lie to you.
Everyone would love to see a hand clinic.
A hand clinic? We could all use a hand clinic. I'll just shade that right there. I'm going to come and get a little bit of the light white. I'm going to come right here. Talk a bit about these knuckles. And it can be nice to highlight the first digit. I think I could still fix the tip of that pinky a bit. And then when I want to come in and let me get a little bit of the, she's got a little hidden white sleeve kind of tucked here.
Mm.
So I'm going to imply that coming around the hand.
Clearly, that's the cuff of an Offspring t-shirt.
I'm going to get a little bit of the white on a brush. I just got to find a little bit somewhere. Just a little bit of white, just right on the tip. And at the pinky, I'm going to tip a little bit of the fingernail. I feel like the pinky's still fairly awkward. Just really, really awkward. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint it out and put it back.
Okay.
If you don't like something, change it.
This. Be like, ah! There was a horrible palette knife accident.
Where?
Red's finger.
Oh. No, we're just going to fix that pinky.
So, yep. All right. So if you do that, if you just need to, paint something out, just do that. Just paint it out, and you can just paint it right back in. So you don't have to worry about that. Acrylic is made up of layers, and this is totally something that, as you can see, the Sherpa does too. So don't be afraid if it happens to you.
What?
That if you need to paint something out,
Oh yeah,
paint it in.
just paint it out. Don't ever worry about it. Just you got to paint a thing out, paint it out. I'm grabbing the base skin color of my mix again and just mixing in here. I'll get some white. Just get it in there. Get some water to thin it, and then I'll just come put little pinkykins back in. And that's the thing, if you're like, man, I don't like that positioning or I don't like how that looks, guess what? It's your piece. Repaint it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to even lengthen this a bit. Small hands.
Challenging.
It is.
Get to zoom in. Oh, shh, check that out. I got picture in picture with blown up hands.
Oh, that's not necessarily good, but okay.
And I can zoom in more. Look, they're scale relative to each other.
Well, something's happening.
No, I mean, like, you're doing really awesome there. See, you can turn around and see the picture in picture. They look awesome.
I can't. I got to focus.
This is Cinnamon super focused. She's like, I'm going to paint now.
Well, sometimes we all face things where we're like, man, I got to pay attention at this moment.
Yeah,
and so that's all that's happening is sometimes you just got to pay attention at this moment.
And that's exactly why you, too, need to have your husband with multiple cameras breathing down your neck over your shoulders to get that next thing, out. So that's what I do. Make sure that Cinnamon is never totally, left alone to her own devices. But sometimes it's also fun to just throw her under the bus.
It is. He does enjoy it. But I don't mind.
But that's what we gotta keep her on her toes. Like she just moves the canvas around. Like, oh, where'd it go? And then she did it again. Oh, where'd she go?
Oh, just trying to capture.
This is her secret revenge on me. Not even secret.
Where everything is at. And then I got to put it where I can see it. So here's a highlight. And I do want to highlight my knuckles. And a bit that finger. And a bit that pinky. Some of that inside. Some of it, but not all of it. Where I need shadow and stuff, I just come in, and you can also use the shadow to trim up what you're working on.
That the shadow, that drop shadow, really adds a little contrast to the hand, makes it pop off the.
Yeah. And you just keep it going as you need it.
Are you gonna put the promise ring on her, or is she gonna stay single?
I don't know who asked for the promise ring, but the answer is no. So this time I'm going to get my tinting white because I don't want such a bright white. And we're going to try to do this a little more delicately this time.
Oh wow, that adds a lot of little dimensionality.
It's a small thing, but that way
Yeah.
we do have the nails. We do have that stuff. I just want to add it a little bit more muted to get into my glaze here. And then I'm going to come into my red here. Bring it in a little bit. There we go. There are times, man. Times. The times, John. Where it is like crazy. To do the thing. I'm just capturing a few little pops.
Yeah.
Some focus in the flow. To just also kind of raise it up. Oh, I'm finally happy with the hand. Hands. Grr. We should do a whole month of them.
We should.
There we go. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I love it.
So at this stage, step back and evaluate. Keep anything you love. Get rid of anything that irks you.
You just take it back, making sure that there's nothing you want to just change at last minute.
Yeah, you should always be like, am I happy with where this is? Is there something I want to...
I have to say, I really love how she plays foreground against background. Like, just disappears into that.
I want to make sure that these lines go off the surface a little smoother than they are. And the reason is because that helps carry the story past what we're seeing. If all the lines end at the canvas abruptly, what it'll do is it'll stop our eye, and the cloak won't feel like it's coming off. There we go. But if you go like that, then it feels like it's flowing off somewhere.
I'm going to zoom in on that so you can really see the layer of texture there.
So I'm going to probably sign in a little purple and white. It'll show up, but it'll be somewhat synergistic into the piece. See?
Now, if you've got white chalk or anything coming through
I'm about to clean it up.
that cleans up with water right?
I will just demo it in 2 seconds once I'm
Oh
done
no, you're
signing.
fine. I wanted to make sure that was the right thing to do. Yeah.
Well, you know it is.
Well, I'm not the one who's teaching here, though, am I?
No.
So I gotta
So
ask
what
you
we
these
do
questions.
after is I like to go through and just clean up any bits of chalk that might still be on the piece.
And that's what
that
those
are
little
not-
white lines were that were just kind of showing through there, huh?
Yeah.
Oh,
And
yes.
So you just clean up any of the remainder of your sketch lines, which is again why it's sometimes nice to use the kids chalk. But I think this is a great addition to our red storyline. Oh, look at her. She's just fantastic.
Oh, she is.
And we faced that obnoxious hand, which I'm super proud of. I hope. Listen, though, seriously, if the hand isn't working out for you today, you saw me struggle with it. I've painted a long time. It is okay to just have the hand hidden behind the cloak. Anyone asks about where's the hand? It's behind the cloak. She's doing that like martial artist thing, like in anime, where the hands are behind them and you can't see it. That's what's totally happening. Just stand and deliver on your artwork.
Yeah.
All right. Now, we have coming up, if I may show you.
Yes.
We've got some things coming up. We've got Mr. Cutie Pumpkin. That's coming up. So make sure that's an upcoming live. You don't want to miss that. If you're seeing this on replay, go find him. Isn't he cute? There is the Halloween tree, which for whatever reason is going gonzo on Pinterest.
Oh, yeah.
Just going bananas.
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 I like bananas. You know what?
And then this.
That's so cute. I saw that today, and that was just like...
That's going to be on the 12th, and then we're going to finish with Baby from Supernatural.
You know, I have always heard that every painting is a self-portrait.
What this one is?
This one manifests a certain catness there.
So, hopefully there's something you're seeing in the upcoming that you're going to set your reminder for. If you don't want to miss these, remember to sign up for the text notifications. The moderators can tell you how to do that on the chat, and you can even find that on the replay. That's okay. But here's the big thing. I'm going to turn forward. Let's go like this so we can see our little red.
You know, we're either going to have to write that theme song or figure out where it came from, because
I say it a lot.
Marriage.
It's what brings us together. So hopefully your red came out and you're really loving her. I'm really loving my red. It's just so nice to paint, isn't it? Just so nice to take that time. For everyone who hangs in on these long lives and you spend your time with us, John and I want to share our deepest gratitude. It's a big deal that when you paint, you choose to paint with us. Be good to yourself, be good to each other, and I want to see you at an easel really soon. Bye-bye.